I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space. My intention here with the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck is to offer support to grieve the mother you want so you can accept the one you have. Hi, I'm Tammy Taylor, the inventor and reader of the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck. Anyone can become a reader. You can receive the readings obviously here, but also at greatmotherspeaks.info where my coaching work is displayed there. I specialize in mama drama trauma, a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. In cases where she's unable, unwilling, or unavailable, sometimes she has simply transitioned to heal her own MDT. It is a cycle. Then loving detachment is required. Loving detachment is accepting what is, the mother that we have. So these readings, the intention is all about working with Great Mother lunar energy, the Holy Spirit, that still small voice, our intuition, our soul downloads, that balsamic moon that comes right before the new moon, working with that sense of ourselves, that spirit before we came into form, that made that soul contract with that soul that loves us enough to assist us in MDT's purpose. What is the purpose of having mama drama trauma? To evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. Now, grieving, now that is the process of letting go, is the process of releasing the toxic emotions in MDT of shame, blame, and guilt that perpetuated generation after generation. So that's my intention, is to support individuals in releasing those emotions in order for us to embrace our divinity identity. And if you've been listening and watching for a while, you know that in my coaching work here and individually, we work on our divinity, which is claiming we are dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never judged, condemned, or left alone. We're never judged or condemned. There are consequences for our actions. We do live in the physical realm. There are consequences. Good. We can perceive them as good. We can perceive them as bad. But karma is simply action. And for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, but never judgment or condemnation. We are here to evolve. And with MDT, that's evolving in self-love and spiritual independence. So this Aquarius Pisces new moon is about cultivating clear boundaries. Now that sounds strange with Piscean energy, and its ruler planet in the western of Neptune right there in Pisces. But it's about that because of that very reason. You know, we have a lot going on with Mercury in Pisces as well. So the communicative downloads from high up are really wanting us to be clear on what is and is not important to you moving forward in your healing process. What is and is not okay with you in a life beyond MDT. There is life beyond MDT. I'm a witness. I have clients who are witnesses. There is life beyond mama drama trauma. And so what is and what is not okay with you now in that life you envision beyond MDT? Great Mother in this new moon wants you to be clear about what you are willing and able to give to relationships and situations in the next phase of your life. And so right now we are finally closing out an era of a nodal season, entering a new one, and that energy finally feels like a door is opening up. And so we're all in this kind of phase of anticipation. And as we are anticipating, Great Mother wants us to get in touch within and be clear about what we are willing and able to give to relationships and situations as we transition into this new phase. She wants us to do this by assessing the value. Assess your own value of your gifts, talents, abilities, time, space, and attention you give to things, and how you expend or use your resources, your gifts, talents, abilities. These are the unseen. These are the spiritual. These are the non-material resources that create all things. This is the Great Mother energy. She wants you to look and value your resources, your gifts, talents, abilities, your time, your space, your attention. How are you using them? How are you expending them to be healthy, happy, and whole? How are you using your resources to embrace your birthright? Remember, you can have $100, you can have $1,000, you can have $1,000,000, but if you don't put it to use, even if it's just to earn interest, it is as if you don't have it at all. So evaluation and inventorying all of this is supported with the energies of this new moon, as Great Mother brings a more balanced sense of self through this process, while Great Father activates our birthright to experience divinity as members of humanity. Remember, new moons, both the sun and the moon are in the same sign. And so we have this Aquarius Pisces energy that's really supporting a more balanced sense of self, a more real sized, a more real time sense of self with that Great Father, that solar, that material sense of ourselves to be activated in a life of health, happiness, and wholeness as part of humanity, owning that divinity identity as a living being in the world. So this Aquarius Pisces new moon kicks off a buildup until the July 2nd total solar eclipse. This is the beginning of that phase that builds up to that climactic total solar eclipse we have on July 2nd. So from now, with the Western Earth egocentric emotional moon in Pisces and Aquarius, the Vedic soul sign, and which precedes your Western moon sign by 24 degrees and is cosmologically correct based on the actual location of the stars in the sky and on the moon. Vedic astrology, Jyotish astrology, sidereal astrology is a lunar astrology. This Aquarius new moon is in the nakshatra of Shatabisha. It means 100 doctors. So we're talking about transitioning into conscious healing. It is in the beautiful stellar constellation that is also named 1,000 stars. It's kind of cloudy, It's so abundant with stars. And it's also called 1,000 flowers. It's a very beautiful constellation. It deals with healing. It deals with the challenges of healing. It deals with individuals who can heal, that are born under this nakshatra, that have challenges with cloudiness, placing boundaries, between themselves and others, internally and externally. Maybe some of those things that come up in your spread. But since November, your Vedic and Western moon signs have shared the same nodal or evolutionary houses when the nodal shift from Leo Aquarius to Cancer Capricorn in Western astrology aligned with Rahu and Ketu in the Vedic. So since November, we have shared the same nodes. However, this new moon marks Rahu and Ketu's entry into Gemini Sagittarius, the preceding house signaling the soul's intent to dive deeper into the emotional processing that it has been doing over the last 18 to 24 months and is ready to live by, through us, as us. So since November, we've actually had our nodes sharing the same energy, but now at this new moon, the Vedic has shifted to Gemini North Node. So this new spiritual foundation is fertile. Great Mother's guidance, this reading, therefore, supports the planting of seeds from this emotional harvest that are good, strong, and resilient enough to do the deep evolutionary work of this nodal season. Whatever we plant will surely grow. So we want to be really clear about what we are planting. So now into July, these readings will specifically support your process of reducing, abbreviating, and digesting your identification with MDT as a way of life. The critical 29-degree marker signals birth of what the soul has been processing over the last 22 months or so in your Vedic moon, with Jupiter at 29 degrees in Scorpio and Pluto at 29 degrees in Sagittarius. Emotionally, in the Western astrology, Mercury is in Pisces 29 degrees. It will be moving into Aries soon, very soon, but we have Uranus also 29 degrees at the onset of this new moon. That is, by the end of the new moon, will be in Taurus, where it will remain until 2020. So since your moon is cosmically syncing or ego soul aligning, it's best to approach this new moon as an extended balsamic moon phase for the entire lunar cycle. As far as MDT is concerned, plant wishes that seed your intention to consciously and completely release, remove, and withdraw from MDT identity, the shame, the blame, the guilt. Because following the July 2nd total eclipse, the cosmic calculus points to increased support to experience our divinity identity. So now is the time to consciously develop our abilities to distill our intentions for our personal benefit moving forward. Okay, so this is the contraction and extraction happening in 2019 I spoke of at the January eclipses, and will return to as we arrive at pivotal points throughout the year. The contraction is all about the lessening, the clarification that we're going through right now to just really distill those intentions, really get clear about our gifts, talents, and abilities, and how we want to use them and interact internally with ourselves as we relate to those things and how we evaluate them, and then with the world. And the extraction after July 2nd, the second half of the year, really benefiting from the work that we've done the earlier part of this year to move forward in the big 2020, lots in 2020. And so 2019 is the contraction extraction preparation period. Now, as this newly tilled soil lies fallow for this lunar cycle, we are integrating emotional information from the past with the help of Venus and Aquarius and Mars and Taurus in the Western. So simultaneously, we're taking a beat to contract essential intuitive wisdom with the support of these same signs in Aquarius and Aries in the Vedic. You know, there's some go between there, but energetically, we have, all of this fallow soil that is coming at the end and the beginning of the wheel here. So let's look at how this may be playing out for you this March, Aquarius, Pisces, new moon on the 6th, 7th. Capricorn, Aquarius, moon sign people, you are feeling good this month. We have Venus in your first lunar house, and so there's this warm kind of connective kind of energy going on between you and others, specifically between your ego and your soul at this time. It's kind of an even keel, kind of easy flow of internal communication. Of course, you download information from that Capricorn Vedic moon sign. I'm going to check the links below to confirm that you are Capricorn the Vedic. You may be Aquarius in both of your Vedic and your Western moon sign. More than likely, though, most of you are Capricorn, and so you download information in a very kind of a categorical way. Sometimes it may seem like it's kind of hard information or hard guidance to follow, but when you do, you get a lot done. And intuitively, the soul uploads your emotional information in a real kind of a genius way. Your emotions bring forth a lot of eureka type insights about everyday things, a very inventive type of emotional nature. Now, this new moon is second house energy for you. So we have Aquarius in the Vedic and Pisces in the Western. That's kind of just a step outside of that Venus. And so you probably are are feeling that you're getting some insights about how to utilize, you're getting a kind of a passionate spur about how to use those natural gifts, talents, and abilities, those intuitive, emotional resources within that space, your beliefs, what you're focusing your attention on, how you're using your energy to bring forth what your true desires are in your life, what you value, what you want to expend your internal resources on. You're probably getting some clarity about that, or you would like some clarity about that during this lunar cycle, which Great Mother is encouraging that we use in a kind of a balsamic energy the entire month, a reflective, resting energy. This is coming up for you in the significator position, Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon sign people, as Sekhmet. So that kind of goes against what I was just talking about with regard to this kind of easy flow. But let's just take a minute, because the significator card is the card where Great Mother gives us what she feels is what we need to work on for the month. And so rage is suppressed anger. And so if you are feeling this kind of lightness, this kind of airiness, and this kind of easy flow of intuitive download, and you're getting some indication that you need to process some emotions that you haven't processed yet, do it. Because the rage card is a root chakra, waxing gibbous moon card that is all about dealing with our karmic debt in ways that serve us. Now, of course, Capricorn and Aquarius in the Vedic are ruled by Saturn, which rules the root chakra. But because we're talking about chakras, we're talking about the Vedic astrology, and so your Vedic moon sign of Capricorn is really standing out here in this message of what needs to be worked on. And it's saying that in order for you to feel secure and you to feel safe in your healing journey of MDT at this particular time, there's a karmic release that needs to happen with regard to rage. Now, Gemini has just become host to Rahu, and Sagittarius has just become host to Ketu, this new moon in the Vedic astrology. So this 6th, 12th house energy dynamic for you really has to deal with how you are going to resolve this karma, how you're going to let it go. And of course, you will have the 18 months of this nodal positioning to do that. But you also want to keep in mind that when we're talking about your soul astrology, we're talking about lifetimes beyond yours. So this rage is not emotional based on this single life. There is perhaps a soul rage that needs to be resolved. And you might be feeling this because you are in maybe about the last 2 years ago of what is called in Vedic astrology your Sati Sati. Your Sati Sati won't start for another year and a half or so. And so this is a harbinger, I would say, to prepare for that. Sati Sati is a 7-year period of internal conflict resolution. And so you're actually being given this grace of this nodal positioning to assist you with releasing this rage, which I'm sensing as a soul issue for you. I'm sensing it as a soul issue for you. Let's see what's bringing this up. Pachamama is the Incan goddess of the mountains. Her breast feed us, Earth Mother, Gaia energy, the variant energy of the sea, the trees, the fairies. It is what is in the physical realm. It is what we have to live on. It's the source of life. It's the regeneration of life. And what's bringing up this rage is a sense of not being safe, not being secure, not being grounded, wanting to be grounded. Okay, we have waning gibbous moon energy that is grateful for what you have. And this is where I'm kind of getting this Venusian type of energy going on, but all is not right. All is not right. And that's what's bringing up the rage. You're wanting things to be okay, but they're not. Because in the shadow position, there's still a lot of guilt around mama drama trauma. So you and your mother have done this dance many times of mama drama trauma. You as her mother, you as her child, you as her son, you as her partner, whatever. And maybe you've had a child together with mama drama trauma and she was the one, and then you were the child. And then it's a cycle that it keeps coming up, and you're deep kind of in this guilt thing about whose fault it is. And the issue is that on this side of the veil, okay, when we incarnate as physical beings, we forget our soul contracts until we get back in touch with Great Mother energy, our intuitive energy, and these things start coming to us more clearly. That's all that we have to do, is just get in touch with it, and things start coming to us. And on this side of the veil, there's been so many lifetimes of build up that it's just hard to see. This is second chakra energy with the Ankh, and the second chakra is ruled by Jupiter, which rules Pisces in the Vedic, and Sagittarius. So with Mercury and Pisces in both the Vedic and the Western, we have this third house energy, on a soul level, where Mercury is. And so you're wanting, or you're being encouraged to communicate with people in your family, your extended family, your neighbors, your friends, your co-workers, in genuine ways that you are creating the life that you want to create. Rage is because we feel that we are not getting what we need. Something is being taken away from us. We're being limited in some way. This is not divinity identity, where we know that we're duly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never judged, condemned, or left alone. We always have what we need when we need it. And so there are things that trigger rage in our lives. And it feels like this is a consistent trigger that brings up self-creation in your shadow position, that you don't know that you can create your own life. There's this mercurial energy in Pisces right now that is retrograde this new moon, that's offering an opportunity for us to reflect on that. And particularly you, as it relates to people in your immediate environment, feeling victimized by them, perhaps because you share this MDT identity of shame, blame, and guilt. Perhaps since there's a perpetuation of shame, blame, and guilt as a result of your experience of MDT. This is in your shadow, that you don't know that you have the fertility, that you have the ability to create the life that you want moving forward. Because what you do want is to embrace the soul guidance and guardianship that's available to you. Now, the Great Father Law cards, Great Father is the law, the word, the logos. Great Father energy, the sun and the moon are always in the same sign for the new moon. And this Aquarius, Pisces moon energy, of course, Pisces in the Western, Aquarius in the sidereal is second house energy. And so we're talking more about the sidereal now because I'm sensing more of a soul kind of reading for you. Second house energy for the soul is all about, it's reassessing its values. It wants what it values to be the priority of its life. It wants its resources, its beliefs. It wants its internal space, its soul wisdom over lifetimes to be its truth
in this lifetime through you as you, and to trust the guidance of the Christ consciousness to protect it, to assist with its needs when it is triggered and feeling that it doesn't have enough or something's being taken away from it. This is third quarter yin energy. Third quarter is release. You want to release that past. You want to forgive all of that stuff and to receive the benefits of this Christ consciousness, which is all about grace and mercy moving forward. Now, what's assisting you to do that is an energy of awakening, gut chakra energy. Gut chakra is ruled by Mars, and Mars, in a few days, it will be moving into Taurus conjunct Uranus. This is sudden changes. And so the potential for this transformation to occur for you is very great as you align with Great Mother's guidance with regard to the awakening that you are moving from one phase of life into another. That's crescent moon energy, planting a new seed. Gut chakra, processing the information, digesting the reality of things so that you can move on with your life in more healthy and helpful ways. The present status of your ego soul alignment is rebirth. And so you are in a process of rebirth. Many of you may be very aware that you're in a process of rebirth. Your life is completely changing. And this Mars and Uranus and Taurus is just going to emphasize that in your fourth house. So you have fourth house energy that is awakening you to this rebirth as it relates to your mother. So this rage that you have with your mother at this particular time is the reason why your soul wants to do this work. It wants to act on what it knows in moving forward and releasing this rage, okay, by receiving the guidance and security from the Christ consciousness of eternal grace and mercy. The red letters of the Bible, as I call it, the New Testament. Now, why your soul wants to do this work is that it's ready to reward you for the work that you have done up to this point. You may not realize that you have been very avidly working on self-creation, or you do realize that you've been working on creating the reality that you want. And there's an expectation of reward that you have that it wants to fulfill. And it can only fulfill that when space is created by releasing the rage, which is why Great Mother wants you to focus on that this month. There's nothing that you have to do. That's Great Father energy. And the law from Great Father is just simply saying, receive the guidance and the guardianship of the Christ consciousness. You're going to be downloading a lot of the guidance that you need to be reborn, to resurrect yourself in the divine expression of your divinity. Now, in this process, you may be asking people to co-sign with you, to believe what you're saying, to trust your journey. But what's more important is that you focus on the work that you've done and that it is worthy in and of itself. Because how your soul wants to do this work of processing the suppressed anger is by establishing boundaries. And so instead of asking for the co-signage of others to agree with the healing journey that you've been on, and don't they believe that you've been on this journey, don't they trust you, it's more, well, do I need them to believe it? And why do I is the first question. And if you do need people to work with you in your healing process because you are investing a lot of energy in the relationship and you don't feel that what you need is being reciprocated, again, it's not a judgment or condemnation against anyone else, but it does indicate a boundary needs to be established, and your gut will tell you that. Your gut, more than likely, already knows that. It already knows that a seed needs to be planted this lunar cycle in order to establish during this new moon what's okay and what's not okay in your relationships with A, B, C, and D, in those immediate environs again with people. What you want, what you don't want. Moving forward to reestablish, as you move forward to establish new contracts with people personally and professionally. And contracts with people can simply be, taking on a new job or taking on a new project or, we have Jupiter in your 11th house. And so leaving organizations that you've been giving a lot to, but now with your healing journey and you focusing on releasing your rage, you may be looking at more spiritual groups or spiritual whatever. And so it's not that you don't like, XYZ organization and the people that are in it anymore. It's just that Jupiter is expanding in your 11th house, networks that will support you and establishing the boundaries that you need. And why do we need boundaries? We need boundaries for personal clarification. That's why we are in physical form. Yes, we're all spirit, but the soul distills us down into a physical form that reflects itself at the particular time of incarnation so that it can have a specific experience. And that's the exact same thing we do when we establish and maintain boundaries, is that we are doing that in order to have a specific experience. It's not a judgment against someone else, but we can't experience having peace and happiness and joy and health if we have boundaries that are open to go out and eat with people who have a diet that doesn't agree with our allergens. We can meet up with them at a later time, but if that's all they do socially is eat, maybe not so much. Might just see you on social media or whatever. That's what we're talking about this new moon. And again, Martian energy. And so I'm seeing a lot of activation with your 4th house, this maternal energy. And so establishing boundaries with your mother as a way to release that rage is also very important. Those emotional boundaries, crossing the threshold from one way of being into another with regard to respecting yourself and your internal space is going to have the likely outcome of centering by the end of this lunar cycle. Body, mind, and soul, the 3 clicks. Body, mind, and soul, Great Mother is saying that from the 3rd eye, you are going to download a great deal of wisdom with regard to what it takes for you to live in a place of peace and loving detachment at this time in your life. Loving detachment is accepting yourself and your mother the way that she is. Remember, we cannot give what we do not have. And when she does not receive the love, the compassion, the nurturance that she needs, she cannot give it to us. And by releasing that rage based on the awakening of that reality, we are reborn and able to better walk away from those intense emotional exchanges. We just don't do it anymore because we're too focused on creating the life that we want. That's in your shadow position. But remember, in order to do that, those boundaries are necessary. And over the next month, just make mental and emotional notes of how those boundaries need to be established and what needs to happen. And the energies are going to support you in that coming to fruition. So don't be surprised as the party gets started with this Mars-Uranus conjunction the latter part of the month. Remember, Mercury is in retrograde, so a lot of support also from a mercurial standpoint in reflecting on all of this in order to express yourself in more genuine ways moving forward in 2019. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and sharing. But above all, and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and get in touch with me at greatmotherspeaks.info because I do too.
Great Mother Speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary.